Well, howdy do, buckaroo. I'm very, very sorry that I've been inactive again. Truth be told, I haven't felt the necessity to make videos lately, but aside from that, I do have a legitimate reason for my absence, and that... I got a new computer! And I'm in hell, apparently. Well, that was a bit more aggressive than the introduction that I usually go with. Anyway, welcome to Hell! Some of you should already be acquainted with this place. I know I am. And today in Hell, we're gonna have a nice conversation about Doom, or more specifically, Doom Eternal. But first, let me admit to you very kind and understanding people that Doom 2016 to me was one of the biggest surprises of 2016. Prior to playing the reboot, my only real experience with the franchise was my time playing the heavily criticized Doom 3. And even before that, I hadn't played any of the original games, though I do understand some of the references from those games. Justice with Daisy, by the way. She's in our thoughts and prayers. Eventually that changed when I invested in the Steam versions of the original games in preparation for this video, and at that moment, a roadblock of realization hit me. Suddenly, I understood the criticism and divide that Doom 3 caused among fans of the series. A good summation of this would be, from what I have gathered, fans were disappointed by the overall tone presented in Doom 3. Where the classic games were much more focused on action and fast-paced, albeit somewhat limited movement, they had less emphasis on a horror aspect. Doom 3 seemingly switched this around. Not going in a completely different direction, mind you, but different enough to cause some disappointment. To summarize, Doom 3 focused primarily on horror and atmosphere with slower paced combat. Going through the game felt more like a generic shooter in comparison to the endearing brutality found in the originals, and while the game itself isn't bad, it isn't what fans were expecting. In fact, if you took Doom 3 and removed it entirely from the franchise and had it launch as an original IP, maybe it would have been received better by the audience. Who knows? But one thing was very clear to me with this reboot. The developers wanted to focus a lot of attention on how those original games played and brainstorm ways to transition that style of gameplay while keeping a fresh and modern take on it for a fresh and modern audience. In my opinion, they accomplished this by ignoring or changing specific elements typically found in games of the last 10 plus years. For example, rather than utilizing sprint features, the developers made the movement speed significantly faster than the average shooter, and in addition, a clamber feature was also used for climbing crates and other obstacles. The reboot also saw the return of many classic Doom weapons, including the much-loved BFG 9000 and brutal chainsaw. I'm led to believe that this is very similar to some elements that are found in Quake, but I'm not exactly sure as I've never played those games myself, but I digress. With all these elements mixed, a fusion of classic and modern gaming aspects was created, and in turn this created, in my opinion at least, one of the most refreshing shooters of 2016. Maybe one of the most refreshing shooters in years for that matter. The attention to detail in the glory kills, the appealing and in some areas highly unappealing and disturbing visuals, the buttery smooth gameplay and brilliant soundtrack from Mick Gordon made the 2016 game an incredible experience easily worthy of praise. Fan and critical reception to the game was very positive and on such a level that a sequel was all but confirmed. What the hell's going on over there? Ignore that. Anyway, as we all know, Doom Eternal is releasing this month. Before launches, I always have these sequel jitters when it comes to successful projects that I'm invested in. There's always the thought of, will it be as good, or what if it stinks? Sequel anxiety is a common fear, and Doom Eternal was no exception. But I'm happy to say that as time went on, the anxiety shrunk and shrunk to the point that I am convinced that this development team know their shit and will deliver day one. Looking back, I was a little nervous about the grappling hook. You see, I was afraid that it might have had a negative impact on the gameplay flow. I don't know why I thought that, I just did. But thankfully, it looks as if the developers were very careful about building Eternal, adding features like this to help spice things up, even criticizing the latter half of the 2016 game as they talked about it, citing that they had run out of things to throw at the player. As of right now, I'm seeing the grappling hook as more of an extension to the already brutal glory kills option. Yes, it's still very satisfying to get a glory kill as it is now, it's also very satisfying to curb stomp a demon or rip off a leg or two, but the grappling hook adds this wild new option to the flow where you can latch onto an enemy and launch yourself to new heights before raining death down on a target. If that isn't kick-ass, I don't know what is. At this stage, I am convinced that Doom Eternal is going to excel in both the positives and negatives of the 2016 game. The developers seem so keen on building on what worked while fine-tuning the things that did not. A good example would be the continuation of the story, which seems like a no-duh thing to say, but stay with me. The story of the first game is relatively straightforward. You wake up, there's demons around, and you need to find a way to stop them. While the Slayer is trying to do his thing, he is consistently interrupted by the story trying to get involved, but the Slayer won't let it because he doesn't give a damn. All he wants to do is rip, tear, and fuck hell up. But at the heart of the game, there is a very deep story if you're prepared to listen. Littered around Hell are these Slayer testaments containing the history of the Slayer and Hell itself. Summarizing the amount of information in those logs would take too long, so we'll keep this short and sweet. It's hinted at the end of 1997's Doom 64 that the Doom Marine stays in Hell to prevent another demon outbreak. He becomes a general for the Night Sentinels, eventually the Sentinels are wiped out and the Slayer is captured. After an undetermined amount of time, the reboot game begins. But in Doom Eternal, not only is this story continued, it is now sharing center stage with the Slayer. We're seeing the Slayer with motives beyond simply butchering demons. We're seeing a conflict between the Slayer and the forces of heaven. There are much more dynamic interactions with characters, providing more context and subtlety for the story to develop. It's going to be really interesting to see how it all pans out by the end, but the important thing to remember is that most of these games may all be connected in some way. I'm not sure myself whether it's been confirmed fully, but it definitely seems to be heading in that way if it hasn't already. What this ends up doing to the story itself remains to be seen, but a richer narrative to go along with the promising gameplay and once again phenomenal music from Mick Gordon seems to be a recipe for success. But that's just the Weird Purple Guy's opinion. I would like to hear yours. Are you getting Doom Eternal? Are you not getting Doom Eternal? Do you have anything to say about Doom Eternal? Will I ever stop saying Doom Eternal? I don't know, we'll find out next time. Oh, I guess this is yours. I was planning on giving it back. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've made it this far, let me know so I can like your comment. Dave Reads will be back next video, so if you want me to read something, just use the hashtag Dave Reads and leave your comment. If you're not in my Discord server, please consider joining. We're gearing up to release a new Minecraft Java server, so we'll be looking for new members, but just to make sure that it's 100% clear, I'm not ditching Halo. Plenty of that still to come. Just wanted to make a one-off Doom video right now. That's all. Thanks for watching again. Goodbye.